So one of the co-founders of BLM did an interview recently. I'm going to read two specific parts of the interview. Here's the first part. She has been thinking about a recent article in the New York Magazine headline, The BLM Mystery. Where did the money go? It noted that in November of 2020, 10 chapters of BLM GNF had called for greater financial accountability, complaining that there was no acceptable process of either public or internal transparency about the unknown millions of dollars donated to BLM GNF. The article went on to imply that Cullors had turned her back on high-risk protests and activism in favor of collaborations with corporate sponsors and of questionable transactions between her organizations and BLM, none of which has been proven. It did, however, concede the deals could have reasonable explanations. As for Cullors' property portfolio, the magazine said, there is no evidence that Cullors used the money sent to BLM GNF to purchase personal property. I've worked multiple jobs across many organizations my entire life. I'm also a published author, writer, producer, professor, public speaker, and performance artist. I work hard to provide for my family. And my issue isn't you working hard to provide for your family. My issue is that when this was starting to get traction and people were seeing that, hey, they got all these millions of dollars missing, and isn't it convenient that you just so happen to buy a $3 million mansion, people started to think, where is all that money going? People starting to think, what are these organization leaders doing with all that money? Are they doing something that's going to help the community, or are they keeping it for their own pockets and slowly spending it whenever they choose to do it? Because when you make a big purchase like that, somebody who's bored is going to find out, and somebody is going to report on it. And the fact that as this was all going on, you conveniently at the same time left the organization because it got too toxic or it got too much to handle or whatever reason it was, it caused more people to come in and say, hey, you're trying to get away with doing all this and trying to take all these people's money, and I'm upset. Which a reasonable person could be upset because they don't know what's going on with that money. There's currently what, 60 to 90 million dollars. Nobody knows where it came from, or nobody has any account for it. You got people in the organization quitting because they feel as though they're not being told the truth about what's going on with the money. When you have all this infighting and you as a leader decide, I'm gonna dip out, it causes more criticism to come your way. And I believe I said at the time, all you gotta do is show a couple bank statements, show how you making your money, and shut all this criticism up, because everybody was looking at you specifically. Yeah, they might have been looking at the other organizers and the other leaders, but they were looking at you first, because I believe you were the first one to be outed as somebody buying $1 million mansion in the white suburb area. And I can understand why you would do that, because most neighborhoods are dangerous. You want to live in a gated community. I got no problem with that. But when you're a leader and you disappear when you're needed the most to defend your organization, it makes you look utterly bad. This is the next part, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm a little bit pissed off. You're gonna make me cry. Patrisse Cullors warns when I ask how she feels about being criticized by other black people. Then the co-founder of Black Lives Matter turns away from the webcam and starts to sob, hand to her mouth. I'm crying because I was prepared for right-wing attacks. I wasn't prepared for black people to attack me, and I think that's probably the hardest thing in this position, to lose your own people, the people that you love the most, the people that you do this work for. The human being feels betrayed. The leader feels like, yeah, welcome to black leadership. This is fucking hazing. This ain't no hazing. Here's why me, the only person right here on this camera who is regarded as the sexiest black YouTuber, will tell you why I will criticize you and your piece of shit organization. It's not because you standing up trying to fight for people. It's not because you're a woman. It's not because you black. It's because your organization and those damn 3 words, Black Lives Matter, are inconsistent as all fuck. You will show up out of thin air for when a black person is the victim of the hands of a white guy, a white woman, white cop, anything white. You'll show up and say, we gotta fight this. This is a problem. 400 years of this, 400 years of that. And you will get all these people who you prey on emotionally to join you, yet none of you want to answer the simple question of, where are you when it's a black doing a black? And I say it and I talk about it, and I have to be honest. Jordan, if you watch this, I love you, but you was the first person to say this directly to me when I brought it up. Oh, black on black doesn't exist. It's a conservative talking point. How are you going to support BLM? How are you going to say Black Lives Matter, but then not address a black life being lost at the hands of a black person? Whether if it's a black man, a black woman, a black cop, doesn't matter. It's still somebody taking the life of another unjustly. Why is nobody giving that same type of attention? Why are these organizations not showing up when that happens? Why is it only if somebody like me brings that up, I'm a coon, or I'm betraying my race, or how dare I cause this woman to cry because she wasn't expecting me, a black person, to criticize her? No, I'm criticizing you because what you've done over these past 10 years has been the most inconsistent dick pull of all time, and it pisses me off every day because as a black person, I get sad when I hear a black life taken unjustly. I get sad when it's a white person's life taken unjustly. A Mexican, Asian, Chinese, Japanese, Vietnamese, don't matter. Gay, straight, lesbian, trans. Unjust lives being taken is unfair, and people should seek justice for unjust lives taken. And what bothers me is that there's no fanfare, there's no hashtag, there's no cry for justice when it's black on black. You just get a bunch of excuses. You get to hear about mental health, you get to hear about their upbringing, you get to hear about how they're sad, you get to hear about how it's the white person's fault, yet there's no address about black on black. It's just a constant rigmarole. The goalpost keeps getting moved, and the more and more that keeps happening, I keep looking at this fucking organization because this organization hasn't done shit to better the black community. It'll show up every couple years to get a couple of election votes and get you all to see that we have a problem that only gets talked about every 4 years, but it's never gonna show up for the daily issue that is black on black crime. You can bring up stats all you want. I don't give a damn. I don't care if it was one person every week. It's still a problem. I don't care if it's one person every 2 months. It's still a problem. I don't care if it's 3 people every 6 months. It's a problem. And the more and more you don't address that, the more and more people in-house, black people, will criticize you. And to sit there and say, oh, I was expecting all the right wingers, all the people to support Trump to criticize me, because that comes with the territory of being black. And I'm so hurt that the black people see me and criticize me because that's your fucking movement. Being inconsistent as all hell and expecting everybody to just sit there and be silent. No, more and more people are seeing this organization as an inconsistent scam. The money part is something completely different. That's a bunch of emotionally damaged kids thinking that they're gonna save the world by throwing their money at something and feeling like they did a good job. They didn't do shit. They didn't do anything that actually betters the black community. And when you sit there, and again, I keep saying Don Lemon's fucking name, but he's the one that was on TV and said Black Lives Matter is only about police brutality, which erases the concept of caring about black lives mattering. It creates the mindset of, yeah, some black lives are gonna matter, some black lives that fit a narrative, but every black life taken unjustly, it's not gonna matter. And lastly, to all you bastards that see the title, you see the thumbnail, and you write me this long paragraph, or you sit there and you DM me, and you say I'm a coon, I'm talking white, I'm trying to please a bunch of white people, understand something. The dumbest and racist thing you could fucking do to somebody like me is tell me what I'm thinking is not my own thought. It's to cater to a group of people. It's to say, oh, I was abandoned as a child and now I have to cater to a bunch of strangers on the internet. These are my own thoughts. These have been my damn thoughts for the past 7 years, watching as more and more black people commit crimes against black people, and I don't see these same hashtags. I don't see the t-shirts. I don't see the riots. I don't see the peaceful protests. I don't see CNN. I don't see Joanne Reed. I don't see Don Lemon. I don't see that dumbass that be on the Black News Network. I don't see none of these people show up. I see them show up when it's ready to talk about a white man. They was ready to talk about Kyle Rittenhouse till the cows come home, but they not gonna talk about in-house, and that's the fucking problem. So, Patrisse Cullors, I'ma always criticize your organization. I'ma criticize every move you make, because every 4 years you magically show up with a new hairstyle complaining about the same 400 years you did not live through. And to end this video, just a simple statement, maybe a question, I don't know. If you're gonna sit there and criticize me for saying we gotta address black lives being lost by the hands of black people, yet you constantly chant Black Lives Matter, and you're gonna sit there and say, oh, conservative talking point this, it's not a real thing, it's just the counter to saying, oh, black people lose their lives to white people, then you're telling me right now you don't fucking care about all black lives. You're telling me you don't hold the same standards for black lives taken unjustly. It has to fit a narrative in order for you to care. And the fucking problem with that is you can no longer say Black Lives Matter. So if that's not the route you're taking and you actually have issues with black people taking other black people's lives, cool, we're square. But for the people that are going to criticize me and say that it doesn't exist and say that it's a conservative talking point, don't ever fucking say Black Lives Matter again, because it's clear they don't fucking matter to you. Get the fuck out of here.